I have a philosophical problem. Okay, imagine two groups, two halves of the population, right? So let's round up. Let's say it's 8 billion. I don't know if it's quite 8 billion or if it's slightly over 8 billion. I'm not entirely sure. Let's say it's 8 billion because that's about right, right? Split them in half, right? Just because I don't know, fucking the world leader has dictated that you do. You have to kill one of these groups. You individually, you are the only one who can make this decision, and other stipulations of the sort. Right? Just go with me here. So you have to kill one of these groups, and one of these groups of 4 billion people. One group are all the happy people in the world, all the people that spread joy and positivity and all love each other and they all get on perfect. The other lot, miserable, hate each other, bloody, all the prejudice in the world and all the rest of it, horrid, them lot. Naturally, you would want to kill the miserable lot just because they're miserable. Like their lives would be worse than these people's lives, given that they need to end. Right? Okay, we agree so far. I'm assuming. I'm assuming. I mean, unless you're like a mental case. However, I'm now going to take, let's say, 10 people from the happy set, move them over to the miserable set. Now, just imagine, just presume that these 10 people immediately become miserable because the overwhelming majority of those people are miserable. So, like, you know, you are who you hang out with sort of business. So you just immediately, and anyone who moves from either group immediately joins that sort of mental attitude. So you've got 10 people shifting over here. You would still probably pick this group, even though there's slightly fewer people, there's still, a massive amount of people, and still generally, totally, they'd be happy. They'd be far happier than these lot. Okay, let's take it to a logical extreme, right? Now let's shift basically all of the people, bar two, from this group into the miserable group. So now you've got a choice between a really happy couple and the miserable nigh on 8 billion people, right? You probably pick the 8 billion people because even if they're miserable, they are. You can't really be the person who says that two lives are worth more than almost 8 billion. That would be kind of ridiculous. But that means that there's some point at which our intuitions decide that a human life is even a miserable one is more decidedly sad, is more decidedly worthy than pure happiness, right? Even if you imagine that the total utility, the total happiness of both groups is the same, which would be kind of ridiculous, but let's just play with it. You would still probably pick this group because you don't want to cause like the world's biggest ever genocide, which is good. That makes perfect sense. But at what point do we draw this line? Because clearly you didn't have a problem with the 10 people that shifted over. Why do you have a problem with the other 3.5 billion or whatever? And I couldn't really say. Clearly, we draw a line somewhere along the difference between 2 and almost 4 billion, but where that line is kind of up in the air. And our like utilitarian sort of consequentialist type instincts also don't really have an answer. They don't have an answer as to where we draw that line. They also don't have an answer as to whether or not the basis of our morality is happiness or human life. It's kind of up in the air. Um, so that's kind of where I'm at. That's my thesis, I guess. That's my thought. If this reaches some people and this is an interesting thought, please help me out.